and a number line. My ink is going out, so I will change. All right, so when you have a number line, it doesn't have to start with a 0 in the middle. You can have a number line started anywhere. And you can go by any increment. As long as you know the positive numbers are on this side, the negative numbers are on this side. So let's say I wanted to plot -5, 0, and 2 on this number line. So -5 would go in between here. 0 is here. And then 2 is here. And that's all you would have to do to plot that on a number line. When you have fractions, it can be kind of tricky. This problem is directly from your homework. It says to graph 3/4 on the number line. And you'll notice that in between 0 and 1, there are 1, 2, 3 tick marks, but there are 4 spaces, which is 0, space 1, space 2, space 3, and then space 4. So each one of these is actually a 4. So if I graphed 3/4, 1/4, 1/2, 3/4. So this would be where 3/4 was. Now 8.5. It'll look like this. So it's easy to see that you're going between 8 and 9. So your number would go right there. So each graph is actually giving you different ways to label it. -3.4. There are 5 spaces. This would be -3.4. Make sure that you do the positive and the negative correct. Okay? So now let's talk about the real number system. In the real number system, we have 2 parts. We have rational, and we have irrational. And they both are in the whole system. Rational has, inside of rational, you have integers, then you have whole numbers, and then you have natural numbers. So, in rational, talk about the rational and irrational. We have rational numbers. Now, a rational number is a number that repeats or terminates. Can't spell, just an FYI. Like the Terminator, if the Terminator wants to end you, it means it comes to an end. If you can write it as a rational, for example, 0.3 repeating is rational, also 1/3. 2.5 again, and that's also 5/2. And then anything that you can write as a fraction. Numbers that don't look like they are rational. So if I did this, 142,857, 1,429. That doesn't look like it's a rational number, but it actually is because it's 1/7. And you'll notice that right here it starts to repeat to 142, but my calculator only stops there. So even though it doesn't look like a rational number, it is. The best way that I can tell you to determine if it's rational is if you know where it's going. If it starts to repeat at any part in the problem, then it's probably rational. Irrational numbers don't repeat and don't end. For example, pi is the most famous irrational number. The square root of 15. So if you take the square root of 15, you get this right here. Now, 3.872983346. If you were to guess, could you guess what this next number is going to be? No, you can't. That's why it's irrational. However, not all square roots are irrational. Because if you take the square root of 16, it comes out to 4. So just because it's a square root doesn't make it irrational. So in the rational system, we then have integers, and those are positive and negative whole numbers. Then we have whole numbers, and that is 0 to infinity. Then we have natural numbers, and that is 1. The only difference between whole and natural is that. Okay? So, you're going to be given a list of numbers, and you're going to have to tell where the value. Absolute value is the distance a number is from 0. And we show absolute value like this. What this says is, how many spaces is 6 from 0? So the absolute value of 6 would be 6. Now let's look at this. How many spaces is negative 4 from 0? It's 4 spaces. Can you have a negative distance? No, you can't have a negative distance. So you can't have a negative absolute value. So if you have a negative inside of an absolute value, it always comes out as a positive. Now, the additive inverse, I apologize for my dogs in the background, is the opposite. So if I ask for the additive inverse, of 6, that would be negative 6. If I asked for the absolute value of 6, that's 6. So this is where it gets tricky. What if I gave you negative 4? And I said, find the additive inverse and the absolute value. So the additive inverse, what's the opposite of negative 4? 4 absolute value, how many spaces is negative 4 from 0? 4. So it can get kind of weird.